And we are live. Good morning. Hi, Anna. Well, good morning for us. Well, is it? No, it's good afternoon for us now.
Yeah.
Both of us, yeah. Lovely to have you here. How are you?
I'm very well, Karen. I'm ready for our conversation this month.
About boundaries, yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Well, let's get into it. Welcome to everybody who comes on, who is here, who's on the live, or who watches the replay, or the clips of the replay later that we will put up. So it's an interesting topic, and it was brought up in I had a master coaching call this morning, and it was brought up in that. And I want to share what was discussed about boundaries in that. And it was just a comment, but it's made me think a lot about other things that I can share today. So the comment was, if you get frustrated first, then you usually get angry after frustration. Anger usually follows frustration. And the frustration, hence the anger, is often because we didn't put up or convey our boundaries, our personal boundaries. And so I wanted to lead in with that. I thought it was a great lead in to talk about our boundaries and our personal boundaries, and to mention that not everyone's boundaries are the same. So it's very important to understand that, well, for one thing, a lot of us don't even think about what our boundaries are. And we certainly don't make that clear to other people. And so I'll talk a little bit, Anna, and then I want to get your view on it.
Thank you, Karen.
So I was thinking, okay, so I don't know why we don't share our boundaries with people. And it's mainly because we often haven't got clarity or been really focused on asking ourselves, well, what are my boundaries around this and what are my boundaries around that? So what I mean by boundaries, for example, is how we are willing to allow, how we will allow other people to treat us. So a boundary for me might be, it's hard to put that into words now. If somebody is disrespectful to me on several occasions, they have crossed my boundary, because I don't believe in being disrespectful. I believe in respect, politeness, kindness, all those kind of things. So if I allow, it's a two-way street. It's always a two-way street. So if we allow someone to treat us in a way that we don't like and it's crossing our personal boundaries, we have a responsibility as well to make that clear. And so what often happens is we'll get frustrated, we'll get annoyed, and we might not even know why until we sit down and say, well, what is it about that person? Why am I getting annoyed with them? Why am I getting frustrated with them? Yeah. And so it's a process often of going, okay, my suggestion is to actually sit down and say, well, what is important to me? What are my boundaries? What will I put up with and what will I not put up with? And then remember that and our boundaries do come a little bit from our values as well and our morals. And so remember that everyone's values, everyone's morals, and everyone's boundaries are because of their own view of the world. And we all have a different view of the world. We all see through our own eyes, through our own glasses, which are coloured with our experiences, our values, our upbringing, people who are around us, people who were around us when we were small, the kinds of things those people said. And so it's a great lesson to learn that your boundaries might be different to mine. And so the answer to that is always check in with people. Always say, hey, is this okay for you? And, with some people, it's physical touch. Some people cannot stand being touched by someone else. And, you know, to the extent that these days now they've brought in anti-harassment rules around that in workplaces, that nobody's allowed to touch anybody, even if it is in a friendly way. However, some people like to touch, some people like to hug, some people don't like to. And those kind of things are also boundaries. And so we can convey our boundaries to someone else in a way that is indicating them without speaking. Or if we want to be really clear, we can use our words. So on that note, Anna, please give me your feedback on all of that.
Yes, I can see that you started with some problems that people normally face. Like we don't know how to express our boundary. And first of all, do we really know our boundary? And I like that. And sometimes we say we feel, I don't like this, but I don't know how to express that to people. It seemed rude to say no. I don't want to build a relationship by expressing my real feeling or my real thinking to the person in front of me. And you stated another problem that is really common as well. I like the person, I want to get closer to them, but I don't know when and how to do it safely without intruding or without causing problem, because I like the person so much and I don't know when and where and how to enter the space of that person, right? So those are really the two common things in relationship, and especially at work or at home, even with our partner that we share our life with. We sometimes don't know when to stay away, to keep a distance, and when to get closer. And so we get in at the wrong time and they push us out, and we feel hurt. And we when they need to be close, then we want to push them away. So then there's no real compatible understanding of each other. And that creates a problem in boundary. It's funny, I used to work for the title office when I first came to Melbourne. I worked for 12 years. A lot of the time I deal with the physical boundary, like dealing with people land size, and sometimes people dispute over their houses boundary, 5 centimeters, they dispute. They're willing to, the value of the land was, let's say 10,000, but they are willing to spend 30,000 to dispute over that piece of land. And for me, that didn't make sense. You process the application and it doesn't make sense. So that gave me a thought of physical boundary and emotional and mental boundary are two different things. And they value different things. Like sometimes people don't care about the physical boundary as much as they care about the mental and emotion boundary. Because that intangible part is more valuable to them. For example, they fight over that strip and they're willing to pay more to fight for that because they want respect. They fight because they feel like their neighbor did not respect them. And they're willing to pay more to earn that respect. And the proof, that I am right, just to prove I am right, I'm correct. And you didn't listen to me, so I have to spend money to prove to you that this is my boundary. So the physical. So for me, when I think about boundary, I think about the two aspects of it. The physical boundary, which is the size of our body, right? And the size of whatever we own, the physical thing we own, mine house, mine car, my whatever. You can't touch my car until I allow you to use it. That is really clear. But the other part is not clear, is the mental boundary, the space, the time, and the emotion boundary that we talk a lot about in the coaching space or in the relationship.
Yeah.
So that was I want to answer it. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that aspect? Emotional, the feeling, my space, my time. How do we deal with that so that we can communicate with other people, so that we respect their space, we respect their time, we respect their feeling, their thought, and let them respect us the same way. What's your thought on that, Karen?
Yeah, I love what you brought up too, Anna, and it is right on the nose. So let's look at the personal boundaries, because like you said, our personal body is one boundary. However, we also have what we call our personal space. And it was interesting. I was with someone the other day who I'm relatively close to, and I stepped closer. So what by that I mean I know the person really well, okay, and we have quite a close relationship. And I stepped closer. He was cooking, and I went over to see what he was cooking, and I stepped closer to him to look in the pan, and he said, "Get back." And he said it with a smile, but he said, "Get back. You're in my personal space." Okay. And I remember having this discussion with my daughter about someone she knew who had kept coming into her what was her too close. Now we all know those people. Some people come up to you and they talk to you right in your face. And we find it really unnerving. And there's two reasons. One is because going right up to someone and talking to them at their face is not pleasant for the recipient, but also it's encroaching on our own, generally our personal spaces. It's all different for everyone, by the way, but normally our personal space is like maybe half a meter, or some people it's more. So the only way that you can know, there are two ways, as I said, using your words like that person said to me, "Get back, you're in my space," right? Or stepping back, or sending messages without them being words. And often what will happen is if you enter cross the boundary and enter someone's personal space, they will step back. Now, if you don't pick up that message and you move forward, say you're talking rah, 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 and you're all excited about something and you move forward again, they will step back again. And if you're not aware of other people's messages, then you may keep doing it, and that person may well get frustrated and then annoyed with you because they think you're not respecting their space, but you might not have even picked it up because you're on another focus.
That is another big problem, isn't it? A very common problem that can be solved easily with what you just shared, Karen. It's amazing. With exactly what you just shared there, many of us can solve the problem of, unawareness of people's space. Personal space is not just from the skin inwards. It is the feeling. It is the, we have funny space that we created, invisible around us. And like for me, I love being close to people. So I feel like hugging is a normal and easy thing because I grew up like that. My mom hugged us. My mom's always hugging us, kissing us. Even my brothers, they're 40 years old. They come home, they hug my mom. So for them, their personal space is safe. So they welcome people. They're very welcoming. So, and then in their internal languages, they project themselves out like that. And later on, I understand why people say, how come I feel really comfortable being with you? Like I can sit next to you without feeling uncomfortable. And because I am very welcoming internally. But I didn't know that, And then because we communicate with our body more than our words. And sometimes we don't have the word to communicate what we feel and what we behave. And if we can communicate that, before we can say a word, our body has already communicated the internal language.
Yes.
And that's something that a lot of people may not be aware of it. And like you said, be aware of it. And if people communicate with their body, and if we are aware enough, we can pick up the cue. And then we say, okay, if they want that space, respect them. Maybe they have something. They grew up with some fear. We don't know what people learn throughout their life. So they just feel unsafe for no reason. They are not aware why they feel unsafe. until they unpack it, until they learn from their own experience why I'm behaving this way, and they might be changing it when you have the awareness, and then you can change it. Before you have the awareness, you can't change it to be, more welcoming, more compassionate, more opening. Like I am living in Australia. I have my own room, I have my own space. But when I go to Vietnam, we open house. People can just come into your room and sit with you, live with you. Like I went home last week and I went to a trip and my room was open. 5 people come into my room and chat, and then they stay and they sleep with me without asking me in advance, and I feel fine. I love that about Vietnamese people, But here it would be like ask for permission. You can't do that without asking for permission. So culturally, it is totally different. Yeah. So,
and that's what I was
you want to say something.
That's what I was going to say. Is that same person who said to me, "You're in my space. Step back."
Yeah.
Also, has held his hand out to me like this and said, "Let's dance." And then, because he has asked for me to come into his personal space, that's okay. And so that is what I wanted to bring up when you brought up relationships, is that respect, we all have a personal space. And like I say, it's usually Vietnamese culture, just to one side for a moment, it's usually sort of somewhere around the same, someone you don't know, where you feel comfortable having them come up to. And it's never close, like dancing or hugging or anything. It's about here if you're just talking, right? And some people it's further. And then if you want someone to come into your personal space, invite them or get the invitation from the other person. Wait for the invitation, right? So that's just one kind of boundary. And I think we've if you want to add anything else about that, Anna, otherwise
the physical boundary and the emotional boundary is a subtle thing. With people in a relationship, we all like to be liked. And we all like to keep the relationship. We don't want to hurt or we don't want to damage the relationship. And that's why it's a very delicate
it is.
thing to deal with people. And sometimes, certain people, if you say no, you will hurt their feeling badly because they're not ready. Sometimes they're not ready to receive a rejection, like a no. A no is not a rejection. A no, it sometimes can be just, I respect my time. I have to say no because I have other priority. But the person in front of us might not understand that yet. And there might be a little bit of communication between the two in order to get to that level. We can't say, oh, I have to respect myself, so I have to say no straight on. I don't care about how other person feeling. For me, in early days, a lot of people told me, say, respect yourself, say no. I love the relationship, but the person is not ready to receive a straight no from me. Then I will have to find the way to communicate my needs to the person. And then they realize that. And then you can say no without hurting the person feeling. Or you can say yes without making the person encroach into your personal space and time. Yeah. So that is the thing I love about that. And I'm not sure whether you want to share the emotional space or the language space, the thought space, the mental space. What's your thought on that, Karen?
Thank you, Anna. Yes. What I was going to say is everything can be resolved with communication with our words with regard to boundaries.
I agree.
We tend not to, one, know that often we haven't clarified them to ourselves. And then secondly, we tend not to convey that to other people. So just a simple thing like if I was an employer and we had a business where we wanted to open the doors at 8 o'clock in the morning on the dot so that because we had clients waiting outside to come in, or we wanted to have that storefront open. And my team were turning up late, turning up 5:08, 10:08, or not at 10:08 when I'd said be here early so that we can be on time. Or I'd said we want to open the doors at 8:00, so you would expect them to know. Now, here is the problem. We assume things. We assume people will know things. We assume people will know that I want them to turn up on time or whatever.
Mhm.
Now, for me, that boundary will be that my staff or my team turn up on time so that we can have the business open at the time it's promoted to be open. If they're not, they're not conforming to my boundaries, shall we say. They're not conforming. And that is still a breach of a boundary. But if we assume that somebody knows that they should be there at 10:08 to open the doors at 8:00, or they should be on time, there's a big breakdown. By communicating what we expect, our expectations, including with our boundaries, whatever they are, then we can resolve the problem and stop a lot, or preempt a lot of anxiety, frustration, anger, and more with anyone, not only our teams, our loved ones, our colleagues, our clients, the people we coach. It's same with the people we coach, if I expect you to be here for our session on time, otherwise you lose the 10 minutes or whatever that you're late by. So those are different kinds of boundaries to the ones that are about respect and are about what we're willing to accept. And also, as you said, Anna, the emotional boundaries where, there's a lot of talk about narcissists these days, and that kind of behavior is really when somebody, and gaslighting, when somebody is emotionally not respecting people's emotional boundaries and saying things or doing things that cause harm to that person emotionally.
Mm.
What do you
Yeah,
think, Anna?
so much to learn about boundary, and I find that sometimes we just have a sense of the person in front of us. However, like you said, communication is the key to resolve everything. And I want to bring into this one element of relationship is trust, because we know, we should do this, we should do that, but life is full of unexpected things to happen. Like, I respect your time, I respect your space, but sometimes I cannot, my time is affected by other people as well. So we have to balance so many things to do the right things for other people. And we are not perfect. None of us is perfect. Sometimes we're late, sometimes we're early. Even though I respect your time a lot, occasionally I show up late because something unexpected happened. So I think, so in relationship, trust is important. At the end of the day, when we trust each other and we can put ourselves in other person's shoes, see from their perspective, then we can be, the boundary issue is quite easily resolved. Otherwise, even if we communicate, but the two people don't trust each other, whatever the other person say, we don't take it as is. We say, no, you told me you should be there, but you didn't. You didn't respect me, and that's why you didn't. But we don't put ourselves in their shoes to know that how hard they have been trying to be there for you, for example. So for me, at the end of the day, it's still the kindness to allow people to make mistake, and the patience to listen to their story from their point of view, and the respect and the love to give people space when they need, and to hear from their perspective, so that we know how they use their time and space in harmony with us. You know, some people disappear from you. That doesn't mean that they don't like you anymore. You know, sometimes people say, oh, I used to spend time with that person and now that person just blocked me out. But maybe they block out, they don't spend time with you just because they have pain. They have something that they have to sit with themselves and deal with it by themselves, maybe for a certain period of time. So that doesn't mean that they cut you out and they put a massive boundary to block you out either. So they're so, relationship is complicated. Relationship is really multi-dimensional. So I think at the end of the day, the trust in the relationship allow us to be frank, to speak our mind at certain level, and then to be honest with each other and to communicate openly. Without trust, we cannot never get to that level to say, hey, Karen, I noticed the way you look at me. There's something wrong. Can you tell me? But if you don't trust me, you wouldn't tell me the truth. You still say, no, it's all good. But in the conversation, I can watch your body language, for example. I say it, for example, not you. With you, I always feel easy and trusting to be frank and, you know, but that is an example. And sometimes you look at the person, you know there's something wrong. And you ask them and they say, no, everything fine. And that is another problem in boundary and how we solve that conflict. Yeah. And it requires a lot of trust. That is my conclusion to this today short conversation. What about you?
Yeah, it is time for us to wind up. Thank you, Anna. A lot of really great points and depth in what you've been saying. I love it. I want to finish off by addressing what you talked about with when we're late and how if someone's late, to be tolerant or patient. You don't know what's happened in their lives. And it's interesting. I did some quite a lot of training with Landmark Education, and one of the sessions that they do is on integrity, and they talked about how if you make an agreement with someone, so you know this is around being late. If you say I'm going to be there at 2:00, and you know at some point you will know at some point before you get there at 2 or you don't get there, that you're not going to make it, right? And so the really important point I got from that one session was, or that one group of sessions was, if you're going to break your word, let the person know and make a new agreement. That way, you retain the person's trust, you respect them, and you haven't crossed any boundaries. And so that was something I always attempt to do. Like I'm driving somewhere and I'm running late and I know I'm going to be late. And I always do my best to message that person and say, hey, I'm going to be late. I'll be there by 2:05, or, you know, as soon as we know, if I know before I leave home that I'm not going to make it on time, then I'll message them then. Or if something comes up in the morning and I've got a meeting in the afternoon that just destroys my day and I can't do it and I have to cancel, I will message them or get in touch and tell them. And I think that's the important thing, because that really is a kind of a boundary. It's like, are you willing to disrespect the person and just not turn up on time and cross that boundary of respect? Or, and most of us do have those kinds of boundaries, or are you able to stay within your own integrity and having integrity with the other person? So that's something I want to finish on, really. I think it's a very important point, is our own personal integrity. In other words, if we make an agreement with ourselves, it's the same thing. We can say, I'm going to do this within, or I want to, or set a goal and we often break our own integrity by not achieving that goal, when we could actually reaffirm that agreement we've made with ourselves, that, oh, I'm not going to get it done by the end of this week. I am going to get it done by next week.
Lovely. Thank you. Like you summarize it, for me, boundary is all about the space and time. If we don't remember anything else, remember the space and the time. That is a physical boundary. So if we all want to be trusted, we all want to be respected. And the two things that we can do to gain that is to keep the time and to keep our words, to show up. Say we show up, we show up. That is our space. We put ourselves in that space. So people can see you, can be with you, then you gain trust and you gain respect. Those two basic things we can manage, then we can gain respect and trust. And then for me, another thing is we like to invite people into our space. We widen our boundary. Then we have more people in our life. More people coming into our life because we show them the lovely emotion, love, respect, gratitude, invite people into our space. Hatred, jealousy, push people away. Anger, hatred, jealousy, push people away from our space. So we all want love, respect, trust. However, in everyday life, our emotion push everyone away. And we wonder why people don't come into your space. So for me, just simple guidance like that. My emotion have to invite people. And nothing invite people into our space more than love, trust, compassion, and gratitude, grateful for them to be in your space. Be grateful for the person to be in your space. They spend time with you. Love them. So those are the few things for me. That's how I use these thoughts to guide my life in order to set my space, but I also invite more people into my boundary, widen my boundary. So my life is not lonely. I want love. I want a lot of loving people in my life. So I have to invite them in by expanding my heart, my thought, and my love for them. That's it. That's it for me, Karen. And I'm so grateful for this conversation.
I love that, Anna. I love you. We're going to finish on that. I love all the words you've used, all those high frequency words that attract the same thing back to us when we think like that, when we speak like that, especially when we're thinking on that level. So thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful person you are. And we will come again in a month for those who are watching our live stream or our replay. Thank you again.
Karen.
We'll finish now. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you.